It was supposed to be just another celebrity appearance on a morning talk show, a promotion tour, a polite conversation. A few laughs, maybe some applause. That's how most segments went when Keanu Reeves showed up on television. His public persona was famously calm, respectful, even shy. But on that morning, something different was about to unfold on the set of The View, and by the time the cameras stopped rolling, the world would be talking not because Keanu made a scene, but because he revealed a side of himself that few had ever seen. He arrived early, as usual, quiet, with a nod to the crew, thanking the coffee runner, checking in with the producers without any celebrity airs. The segment producer Marla smiled and handed him a rundown of what would be discussed his new film. Of course, some light banter, and maybe a few surprise questions. Keanu took it, glanced through, and said softly, "No problem." But there was something in his eyes that morning tired, maybe, but also a deeper weight, something unspoken. Backstage, Joy Behar was already warming up. She had a reputation for being blunt, opinionated, and occasionally pushing boundaries. It was part of the show's appeal. After all, spicy dialogue, clashing views, heated debates. The producers loved the ratings those moments brought. "He's sweet, but way too serious sometimes," Joy joked to Sunny Hostin. "Let's see if we can crack him open a bit." When the lights went up and the theme music played, Keanu took his seat at the iconic semicircle table. He was dressed modestly, a black shirt, soft leather jacket, no jewelry or flash. The audience clapped and he smiled that small, familiar Keanu smile. The hosts greeted him warmly. The first few minutes were light talk of the new movie, his role, and some stories from the set. Who did the best stunts? What music did he listen to while preparing? Keanu answered thoughtfully, with occasional bursts of dry humor that made Whoopi chuckle. Then Joy leaned in. "So Keanu," she said, tilting her head, "you've got this whole mystique thing going. People call you the internet's boyfriend, the humble superstar. But don't you think people romanticize you a bit too much? I mean, no offense, but isn't it just good PR?" There was a brief pause. The audience gave a polite, uncertain laugh. Keanu blinked once, slowly, as if he hadn't quite processed the question yet. Then he turned to face her, fully, not angrily, but with a sort of deliberate calm. "I don't know about PR," he said gently. "I just try to be real. Life's been hard sometimes. I think people recognize that." Joy wasn't backing down. "Sure, but everybody's had a tough life. I mean, come on, the tragedy narrative gets old. Isn't it time to let it go?" Something changed in the room. Whoopi shifted in her seat. The audience quieted. Keanu looked down, then back up. "You're right," he said. "A lot of people have gone through pain, and maybe talking about it seems repetitive. But I don't bring it up to gain sympathy. I bring it up to remind people they're not alone." The room was silent. "I lost my best friend when I was just starting out," he continued. "I lost a child. The woman I loved passed away. I've been called cursed by tabloids. But I kept going because I saw how even the smallest kindness could change someone's day. That's not PR. That's just what I believe." Joy blinked. She didn't expect that kind of openness. But instead of softening, she leaned back and said, "Okay, but don't you think people are too quick to worship celebrities? Isn't this whole Keanu is a saint thing just a little ridiculous?" That's when it happened. Keanu stood up, not with anger, but with a sense of resolve. "I'm not here to be worshipped," he said, voice steady. "I'm here because someone told me this show was about conversation, about sharing ideas. But if you think my life is some kind of act, I'll save you the trouble." He pushed in his chair, nodded respectfully to Whoopi and Sunny, and started walking off stage. The cameras were still rolling. The audience gasped. Joy looked stunned. "Wait," she said. "Come on, I wasn't trying to insult you." But Keanu didn't turn back. He paused only when he reached the edge of the stage, then looked out at the crowd and said softly, "You don't need to believe my story. But don't mock the parts of people's lives they used to survive." And then he was gone. The show cut to commercial, but the moment had already made its way online. Within minutes, clips flooded social media. The clip was reposted with captions like "Keanu walks out with grace" and "This is how you stand up to disrespect without hate." But what followed wasn't a scandal, it was a wave of compassion. Viewers, many of whom had never watched The View, shared their own stories. Messages poured in, people who'd survived grief, loss, depression, People who said Keanu's strength had given them comfort in their darkest moments. Even people who admitted they'd once been cynical now saw something different in him. Not perfection, but perseverance. Backstage, Marla caught up with him just before he left the building. "I'm so sorry," she said. "You didn't deserve that." Keanu gave her a gentle smile. "It's okay. She probably didn't mean it how it sounded. We all carry our own pain." She nodded. "Still, thank you for saying what you did." He touched her shoulder lightly, an unspoken acknowledgement, then stepped into the hallway and disappeared into the waiting car. But that wasn't the end. 2 days later, Joy Behar made a statement at the beginning of the show. She looked into the camera, more serious than usual. "I want to take a moment to address what happened with Keanu Reeves," she said. "I crossed a line. I challenged someone who spent his life showing kindness, not for applause, but because that's who he is. And I'm sorry." That day, Keanu didn't respond publicly, didn't post a video, he didn't tweet, but he did show up unannounced at a children's hospital in New York later that week, quietly spending hours with kids undergoing cancer treatments. He made them laugh, read stories, and stayed until every child had a photo and a smile. One of the nurses, teary-eyed, whispered to him, "We saw what happened on The View. Thank you for not letting it make you bitter." Keanu smiled. Kindness isn't a performance, it's a choice. And in that moment, the world saw not just a man who walked off a stage, but a man who continued walking the path of compassion, no matter who misunderstood him along the way. By the end of the month, donations to multiple grief support groups and children's charities skyrocketed, many of them mentioning Keanu's name in the memo lines. No publicity campaign, no social media push, just a ripple started by quiet strength and a refusal to let cynicism win. And for once, the internet wasn't divided. The hashtags were simple. And behind each was a quiet promise: to speak kindly, to listen more, and when in doubt, to walk away without hate. And let love do the rest.